I remember someone said recently that, oh, we should privatize all the universities, and it sounds ridiculous. But the truth is that you got to use entrepreneurial approach to running our institutions if you want them to become sustainable. And we don't have enough money to make our universities world class. So ASU is making demands for money that does not exist. Is the reality. You are looking at the roads and you say, oh, our roads are bad. We need to, I had Obi say, we need to allocate more money to infrastructure. Where is the money going to come from? You first of all have to create more income, streams of income. But more than that, you must build roads through public-private partnership. Means that you don't even need to have government money for most of the major roads. The interstate highway concept that I mentioned, you know, it's ridiculous. We don't have a road linking Lagos with Abuja after nearly 40 years of Abuja. We are sick. You can't think. And all you need is people with vision, with clarity of vision, and you can build these interstate highways that through public-private partnership.
Yeah, how do you intend, if you became president,
yeah,
to break either the social, cultural, and sometimes elite challenges that impede concepts such as you are espousing? To say, look, build interstate highway from Lagos to Abuja, and then you find all kinds of interest coming. I'll give you an example. Are you familiar with this? Obasanjo, while he was head of state, president, issued licenses for the construction of refineries.
7 licenses.
How many new refineries have we had since Obasanjo and since he left office?
Okay. I was one of those who had reservation, and I was close to President Obasanjo. I had a daily access to him. So we talk a lot about all these policy options, but the final call is his to make. I had my reservations about the capacity of those licensees to raise the required capital and the motivation. Many of them thought, once I have a license, I'll get a foreign partner, will build a refinery, they will be allocating crude oil to us, and all the willy dealing will continue as usual. It's not an entrepreneur mindset. But there was also the problem of you cannot be promoting entrepreneurship and create a regulatory regime that meant that the prices of fuel cannot be sold at a commercial rate. So that's why I said you need a holistic approach to most of the problems. Whether you are talking about security, you know, I told you my agenda is reform, development, security. The third one, we never talked about it. But the truth is that whether reform, reform, you say restructuring. That's just one item in the reform thing. You need it to understand the big picture, the complexity of the issues, how one affects the other. So the key to getting the elites to do the right thing is 1, leadership, 2, capacity to articulate the vision in such a manner that people will buy in. Unfortunately, we don't have articulate leaders right now.
All right, John, the PPP has always been a policy option for a while now, even from the 1990 date. But it doesn't seem to have really worked in terms of, in reality. It didn't work in so many projects that government had, put in place. But that is by the way. Now let's go to a particular area that most presidential candidates, have negated in our conversation, and that is science, technology, and innovation, which is the driver of the major economies in this country. And it has come to a point where it has become inevitable that if you don't have homegrown technology, that you are going nowhere, because you are depending on the machinery and other, products of science and technology coming from outside. Now, the steel industry is believed to be, key to industrialization of this country. And because we're not industrialized, it's part of why we are underdeveloped. Now, how do you intend to address the issue of industrialization in the country?
Thank you. In our education program, we stated that we are going to orchestrate a national emphasis on science, engineering and technology, vocational and technical education, ICT, and even artificial intelligence. We have seen that Nigerians have demonstrated capacity to compete with the best of the best around the world in all these sectors. But what we require is to make sure, one, all our children have to be in school. For me, the way the elites talk about Almajiri and all that, I don't care what you call it. All I know is that every child in Nigeria must be in school. And UBE makes it illegal for anybody to keep a child out of school. My friend, if I become president, many of the parents will be in big trouble. Many of the guardians will be in big trouble if I see any child. Even hawking on the street, it's not the child alone that will, all I want for the child is to go to school. But those who send them on the street to hawk will be in trouble with me. But when you want to industrialize, you must emphasize vocational training. Ordinary building of houses now, we are looking for people from Togo and Ghana. That's not going to work for Nigeria. So you got to emphasize that. But how do you do vocational training when a big chunk, millions of your children are not even in school? So we got to make sure basic education first, then emphasis on vocational training, and technical and education, emphasis on science, engineering and technology, emphasis on ICT and artificial intelligence. You can compete with the rest of the world if you don't do that. Industrial clusters, we've talked about it over and over, but you cannot have a functioning industrial cluster. We just take ideas from textbook. Again, holistic is the key word. You cannot have a functioning industrial cluster where there is no power. You cannot have a functioning industrial power where there is no skilled manpower. And so you got to do all this. Don't put the cart before the horse. Now, but because we've lost time, there has to be some measure of simultaneity in getting these things going. That's why our strategy is to have task forces, work brigades, and make sure everybody is getting results as we want it.
Is your party fielding candidates for other elections? You're a presidential candidate, because if we say you're going to have task brigades, and assuming you win the presidency, you don't have, your party doesn't have any governor, any governorship slot, it doesn't have members in the National Assembly, how are you going to function? So is your party also fielding candidates for other elective positions?
Thank you. My party is a relatively new party. We have governorship candidates in about 11 states, but I don't even think most of them have a good enough chance. Ironically, our best chance is in the presidential race, because I have support of big interest groups that are possibly going to turn the table. A month to the election, the picture will be clearer. Everybody will see that it's not a two-horse race that they think it is.
Okay.
But the point is this: when you win, either as an independent president or as president on the platform of a small party, what you do is you build strategic alliances or even merge your small party with a big party.
What is
so
the-
it's
what
not
is-
a problem.
What is the spread of your party? Are you in all these states?
In every state of Nigeria,
Local
Alliance
government?
of Social Democrats is present.
Are you fielding candidates for councillorship,
No,
local government?
there's no councillorship election yet. But what we fielded candidates for governors, for federal legislative houses, Senate, and House of Rep,
All
and
about
the
state
state
House of
assemblies.
Assembly.
Correct, we did. All.
You say you have the support of big interest groups.
Yeah.
If you became president,
Yeah.
wouldn't there be a risk or threat of state capture by the big interests that would have backed you to become president?
Well, I tell you this, that the essence of getting support is every president that wins all over the world have to get labor, for instance, to buy in, have to get other interest groups to buy in. That doesn't make you a captive of those interest groups. You see, the people who are usually captive are those who are sponsored by godfathers. Now I have no godfather. Only God is my father now.
Okay. Well, thank you. Kirian, no.
Security.
That's the point. Actually,
Okay,
what is your
okay.
security? Actually?
Yeah.
Oh, I tell you, that's really my strength.
Yes.
I was privileged to serve under the tutelage of General Danjuma, and it helped me to understand the security architecture of this country. But you don't solve security problem when you don't put your children in school. You cannot solve security problem when you do not create opportunities for the youth empowerment. Part of the reasons why we are underdeveloped is that our women are not in school, our youth are not empowered. But when you've done that, there is the key element of social justice. It's easy for me to say, I will professionalize all the security agencies, I will equip them. I even intend to create our own indigenous defense industry complex.
As part of this security question.
But you must know that security is more than just security agencies.
Exactly. At this point now in Nigeria, there are educated people who are involved in banditry and what have you.
Yeah.
So that means that education alone cannot solve the problem of security in Nigeria. We have a myriad of criminal activities in different ramifications. We have kidnappers, we have banditry, we have herder, farmer clashes, and all of that. Now, no, some have jobs, but there are Boko Haram, for instance. They have graduates. There are people who have been to school. So how would you address this one? Because of course we are living with it.
I tell you this, whether you are solving the problem of corruption or security, you must first of all understand the causes and deal with the causes of the problem. If you don't deal with it, you'll be scratching the surface. And I'm saying to you that lack of education, lack of job opportunity, lack of empowerment for the youth, lack of social justice. How did Boko Haram start? Okay. All of us are behaving as if we are suffering from amnesia. You kill the leaders, or you kill Yusuf in extrajudicial killing. You did not address it till today. You've not addressed it.
All right. Just
so you can't solve the problem of Boko Haram by telling soldiers to go and kill them.
Last one for you. State police, to be or not to be?
My restructuring program is going to be holistic. Again, in fact, almost wholesale. We will end up with a new constitution, I guarantee you that. But it's not going to fundamentally, fortunately, the 2014 National Conference, we retained the bicameral assembly. So they will not lose their seats, but they will end up with a new constitution that will create state police, community policing, in order to make sure police.
So your answer is yes. You go for state police.
Yes.
That's what. All right. Now let's take some messages coming in.
Yes, and how I will do it.
But some Nigerians are actually contributing to the conversation this morning. We have a few tweets here. Kinsley, I have you have the first one.
Yeah, that's right. This is from Benji Unze. I'm yet to see a different manifesto from what we used to hear and read during electioneering. Employment, good infrastructure, education, fight against corruption, social investment, etc. Yet, after elections, the life of the ordinary Nigerian never improves.
Olayemi says, all of these parties have good manifestos, but are they ready to stand by it when they are in power and fulfill their promises? Those are the questions we still need to ask ourselves, because when they get there, they change their minds and do what is out of their promises.
This is coming from at Casina. Now, it is simple, just a matter of choice between moving forward and going backwards. Words speak for themselves, and numbers also speak for themselves.
Farouk Mutana says political parties should harness their political manifestos to issue-based politics instead of engaging the act of character assassination. A wise politician would rather supplant his manifesto with good message that would sell his idea to the electorate.
Now, Omakoji tweets, now some of these presidential candidates are looking to bargain for ministerial slot, board membership, and other juicy appointments. Can those parties there tell me the locations of their offices in Rivers? You know, parties are now like mobile phones. Let's get serious and stop this. There's the last one there from him.
Yeah, go ahead.
Still, well, Omakoji says, NTA, thank you for being fair to all. Some of these parties are registered for political patronage. We have not conducted election, but some of them have started adopting other parties' candidates. All right, so that's the most that we can take. We'd like to thank our last guest who's just been explaining his policy options as a candidate of the Alliance of Social Democrats. John Dara, thank you for being with us on Good Morning Nigeria today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
All right, so let's go over to our sports desk.
They're just